Hello, Kathryn here. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm returning to Russian. I'm going to do a bit of typing practice. I can already see how I'm faster. But I'm also going to demonstrate the perils of relying on just translation software to translate a language that you have not studied the grammar of. Okay, that was a really mangled sentence. You get my point. If I just went by this, and I haven't really studied Russian grammar, I'd have to put a bit more work into the pattern recognition. Now, I could do that. That would entail a bit more of a intellectual challenge, I suppose, for me. And with Russian, I am doing that a bit. But because Russian has so many fundamental grammar rules, it would benefit me to actually study the grammar in detail, and that is what I'm doing in that old book. The old book is not for me to learn necessarily a lot of vocabulary or idioms or anything like that. It's just to give me the foundational rules. The dictionary is incredibly limited, and again, I need to understand the difference between a word that's a noun and one that's modified to become an adjective. This is important for kind of obvious reasons. Without understanding how words are conjugated or modified, I'm going to have a lot of errors, and it's going to be very frustrating for me to kind of have to return to the fundamentals to improve my overall skills. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type in real time and discuss how this looks to me, keeping in mind that I've only studied about 5 chapters of grammar, and I'm still learning grammar. Now, if I just wanted to go straight to this and translate out of this, how would I do that? Well, let's see what I can do. Alright, so this is, I believe, just one sentence. The title of this one article I wrote down, this BBC article, translates, according to this, to presidential children. So, just through context, this might be a story about children of politicians who somehow drag down the family name. That's what it could be. Just through this, okay, if I look over at the Russian, I could probably figure out something like this might mean this. And if I spelled this out, is this a noun? Is this an adjective? We can see that this is an adjective. And I do notice that adjectives sometimes end in this letter.
Социальный. Социальный. Социальный.
Социальный.
Социальный.
Okay. And then this probably then would correspond to elevator. So we have social or societal elevator. This right here is obviously a preposition. Short letters or short words usually are. So this is probably this. Okay, household. Now notice how this is related to this. So it could be that this is modified somehow, and that there might be a base noun and that there is a declension here. So where's the verb then? Well, we could just go through it like this. Nope, this is an adverb. So it looks to be corresponding with the sentence structure in English. So is this then the verb? looks to be. But past tense, down, okay? So this is a literal transition. So this one here, let's look at this again.
Шел.
Shoal. Another thing I need to recognize, this one does not have the I or y
Шел.
because of spelling pronunciation rules. Okay, so is this then the infinitive? And then is this the past tense conjugation? That's something to keep in mind. So I know where the verb is then, even though over here that looks completely unrecognizable. Well, okay, I was doing okay. Okay, slow down. Good Lord have mercy. See where I talk about the benefits of becoming more patient. If I'm not patient, this is going to be a torturous event. I mean, it's already annoying to move this slow, but I know that I will improve. With time. Let's see, what's it saying? Oh, yeah, I guess I wrote that down wrong. So you may be asking, okay, what type of study session is this? This one is actually a follow-up supplementary one. I'm not doing any writing. I could write down what I translate here, but for me this is more about just getting this practice in and trying to see some pattern recognition, pattern spotting. If I try to do everything at once, it's going to be overwhelming. Now, I've developed enough patience to do that, but most people haven't. And even this, I can only do this for so long before I just get tired. We'll do one sentence. Just keeping my focus on the work, on the letters. I don't have to notice everything at once. Remember that perfection is not required. Speed is not required. I'm not doing this to show off, so I cram as much in my head as possible. This is me just doing what I can at the level I am at. Go. Making mental notes without straining too hard. Almost done with this. Patience, patience, patience. Noticing the way that the keyboard is set up. Is it similar to ours in the sense that I can naturally imprint it in my mind? Okay? Alright, let's look at this sentence. What do I think is going on here? Well, we have a possessive right here. We have Natalia's husband. So this, by my understanding of the spelling rules, is probably Natalia. Natalie. If I return to the book and look at rules for possession, I would have to find that. Of course, I could just do that kind of quickly here, but I need to have a decent understanding already of that, of how to learn foreign languages. This isn't necessarily something that's going to come. Okay, husband. So we have husband, Natalia. So this tells me something about how the sentence construction when it comes to possessive. So this is a grammar rule, probably. Okay, then we have this. So this is the infinitive, I would imagine, and that this is a past tense construction right here. So we've conjugated it in the past tense.
Умер.
Ume. Okay, then we have a comma, so this is telling me something about the rules of punctuation. They actually do have a lot of commas. And this is probably a dependent clause. Okay, we have a conjunction. So this comes after a comma, so this is probably a dependent clause. So this right here could stand alone independently. So if I see this right here, that probably tells me that what's coming after is a dependent clause. So when, so over here, I don't have the comma in the same place. But over here I do. Now I can't necessarily say 100% that yes, that is correct. I need to kind of reinforce it. I need to review the rules of grammar to see if that's a punctuation rule or if that's just, you know, a goof over here in Google Translate. I cannot rely 100% on Google Translate, but I should make a note. Okay? So when, okay, what can I do here? So in this sense, I'm guessing right here, when the youngest of their 4 children. So right here is everything that's in there. So we have of their 4 children. So what do I think is the word children? This right here could be an adjective. Nope, that's a noun. If I go by the way the adjectives are, could this be it's a number? 4 children. So these then might be prepositions. So this one is probably the youngest, which is an adjective. Okay, so right here, this might be the base form right here. And I recognize this right here. So it is a declension or an alteration of the base word. And exactly how that is something that I have to study. So then, of course, these of, that's a preposition. So what is left here? There. And that is a pronoun. So, husband of Natalia died when youngest of their 4 children, right? Now this also involves possession using prepositions, whereas this one is just straight up possessive, right? If I go by here, well, the name Stas, that is obviously here, right? Now this right here is just being dumped into this here. Let's see. You can take that out and the sentence still stands. So this right here is pussy, 5 months old. So that's going to probably be here. So okay, that's a conjugation of the word of the verb to be. Over here should be the infinitive. Yep, 5. So this is probably months. And is that plural or is that singular? Well, that's month. We see that there is a difference with the declension. So it could be that that is because it's plural. It could be the case that it's in. I can't necessarily cement that in my brain. It needs to be in that kind of suspended animation that I've talked about before. So let's go here. Female or woman. So this might be a verb. So that survived. Now over here in the English translation, we have it in the past tense over here. I can assume that's probably in the past tense. How is that different from the infinitive? This is probably the infinitive, which is to survive. Remember that in English, infinitives are in the form to survive, to be, to walk. To is part of the infinitive. Most languages do not have a preposition in a to go, to sleep. What they normally have is a base word, and then there is a declension of some sort based on its grammatical gender, the case that it's in, and that's something that we can talk about in other videos when it comes to cases. This is something that is often very challenging for English speakers, but in some languages, especially Romance languages, you will see the infinitive. The infinitive is often just the word itself. Other times it might have a preposition around it. It just depends. This is why it's important to study the grammar. Alright, and then we have another comma, so this is probably as best she could and how she could. Now that is a little bit funny sounding. Let me just make sure that that's what I actually wrote down. Okay, yeah, apparently. So this is probably and. So right here, let's look. Okay, a conjunction. Yeah, I see this a lot. You're going to see lots of conjunctions. So as. So this is probably. Okay, to be able to. So can, so best she could. So these are all in the past tense. And as. Okay, interesting. So that might be like as best. So that's kind of like. So how. Let's see, as she could. And as well. So that's a very, it sounds kind of clunky then. It's very strange. Okay, let's try another one. Oops, beginning of a sentence. Beginning of the sentence has a capital letter. I imagine if you are a native speaker, this is probably a painful video in some ways, but you know what? I know that people learning English, or any language for that matter, they understand the struggle. Not really looking at the translation quite yet. I'm just trying to increase the speed and accuracy, which is laborious. I guess it's starting to feel a bit more natural as to where they are. Not sure how, but it is. Oop. It actually doesn't take that long to figure out where the punctuation marks are. I've had to memorize a lot of alt codes for diacritics, and the more you do this, of course, the more you'll remember. Okay. She worked as a milkmaid, leaving the younger ones to the older Anya. She worked in the PMK Mobile Mechanized Convoy motor transport sector, where the working day often lasts until dusk. Alright then. A semicolon in English, of course, means that this is its own separate independent clause. This right here is capitalized. It is probably a proper noun. And by my understandings of spelling rules and pronunciation, that this is probably that name. So what can I look at in terms of context? Well, we have a comma here, so that could correspond to this here. My guess is that this is the subject, or it could be milkmaid worked. So let's see. Okay, that's the verb. This is probably the milkmaid. Okay, now look at how it is here. And then we have this here. Is that a matter of the case it's in? Could be. Okay, then we have leaving the younger ones to the older Anya. Now we know that, or Anya, please forgive me. So we're going to have to work around it. Now, one thing you can do is go straight to the little ones. These are often prepositions or conjunctions. This one, it's a preposition on or to the older. So this could be the elder. Okay, it's an adjective, so older, to the older Anya. So we know that we need a plural if we're going to go straight literally from this. And we need, now this here is called a gerund, I believe. I screwed it up, didn't I? I took some things out. Oh well. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh boy. Yeah, boy did I screw the pooch on this. Boy. What the heck? I don't even know how I did that. See, this could be very, very frustrating when you screw it up and you don't know how to fix it, and it's going to take a long time to get back to it. This, yes, I know that it's a bit torturous. It's tedious, it's slow, and it's frustrating. However, you can already see some improvements. Now imagine if I did this every day. How long would it take for me to memorize the keyboard? Not that long. Then start noticing those patterns again in the context. Not that long. This is a language I do not speak, have never spoken. Are all my hunches right? Nope. But the point is that I'm engaging with it and that I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. I know this is a long, boring video, but I want you to see some of the thought process and some of the actual work, the tedious work that goes into this. If you found it of value, despite its tedium, please consider subscribing, like, and comment. I'd love to hear any feedback from native speakers, or if you'd like to see me do this in other languages. And again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you later.